Hello friends, my name is Holden Zhang, a professor at the University of Tulsa. I published a book, Revive Eating Green Sahara Now in 2019. This book explained that the water cycle stability over the Atlas Basin controlled the transitions between the green and the desert Saharas. I call this standalone catchment the Eye of Africa. Now this insight has led to an exciting new finding, Atlantis, that's right. In this video, I will show the exact location of Atlantis, the climate and the environment for Atlantis' prosperity, and explain how the inundation happened. All the details match 100% with Plato's descriptions on Atlantis. Finally, I will touch base on the sudden desertification which dispersed the Atlas Empire. Atlantis is not hiding at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. It is in plain view on top of the Sahara Desert. This is against all our common perceptions, perhaps the main reason why we haven't found it until now. Here I present you the exact location of Atlantis, identified on February 12, 2021. After about 11,000 years of water and wind erosions, the surface profile of the Atlantis citadel is still clearly visible, although partially buried under sand dunes. This is the surface profile based on the global digital elevation model. Looks a canal flowed in between the first circular zone and the second circular zone after the Atlantis inundation. The city contours were severely eroded by water flow and dredging. The central island is still clearly recognizable. Put in the environment 11,000 years ago, it would be easier to understand Plato's descriptions of Atlantis. Based on Plato's descriptions in Timaeus, this was the heartland of Atlas Empire. Its influence reached the Mediterranean areas and Egypt. Dust flux data from nearby marine cores clearly reflect the climate changes for the prosperity and dispersion of the Atlas Empire. The Green Sahara started about 12,000 years ago, several hundred years before the Atlantis inundation. The Green Sahara ended about 5,700 years ago. Both flips from desert to green and from green to desert were abrupt. Atlantis occupied a crucial position, controlling the water transportations and trades between the areas around these twin Atlantic seas. It served as a central hub for land and sea and between all parts of the empire. This unique location was the key for Atlantis' prosperity. However, Atlantis was also vulnerable due to the narrow entrance, which could restrict the water flow out to the Mediterranean Sea. The European and African tectonic plates collide right across this area. The collision accumulates great amount of energy, which is released through earthquakes from time to time. This was exactly the cause of the disasters for both Atlantis and Athens about 11,000 years ago. A powerful earthquake caused widespread structure collapse and massive casualties in the Mediterranean area. It also triggered a landslide at the narrow entrance and blocked the water outflow. This blockage and the continuous inflow quickly rose the water level of the Atlantic Sea to a height that submerged the island city Atlantis. The water level rise was likely accelerated by floods from upstream rivers due to heavy rainfalls. This narrow entrance is the only outlet for water to overflow to the Mediterranean Sea. The original height of the gap's ridge might be higher than 50 meters above sea level. People must have dug the channel deeper to lower the Atlantic sea level to about 24 meters above sea level. Consequently, a very narrow gorge was formed which caused the Atlantis inundation later on. This was the land and the water surface around Atlantis before the flooding. This was the same area after the flooding, with Atlantis submerged underwater. The Atlantis inundation was not the end of the Atlantis civilization. The Atlanteans must have moved to a higher ground, and the civilization continued. This is the fairest plain described in Plato's dialogues. The length of the plain in north-south direction is about 528 kilometers, equivalent to 3,000 stadia. The width of the plain in west-east direction is about 352 kilometers, equivalent to 2,000 stadia. The canal or ditch around the plain is about 1,760 kilometers, equivalent to 10,000 stadia. All the details presented above and many others are in perfect match with Plato's records on Atlantis. The water cycle over Atlas Basin suddenly lost its stability about 5,700 years ago. The area quickly became desert. Most of the Atlanteans were left no choice but to leave. This was an unprecedented exodus. In the north, the Atlanteans likely found a foothold on some Mediterranean islands, the Iberian Peninsula, and the Atlantic facade of Europe. In the south, Atlanteans must have followed the gradual retreat of the Great Sahara. The rise of the Egyptian kingdom closely followed the fall of the Atlas Empire. The Sahara desertification squeezed the people to the Nile Valley. Among them were many Atlanteans who helped create the Egyptian civilization. Detailed information is presented in the chapter 9 of my book, Reviving Green Sahara Now, the second edition. Finding Atlantis will answer many questions and promote new understandings of desertification and climate change.